There's the voice. Hi, Taran.
Hey, how's it going?
I am so good. I just have to let you know I'm a really big fan.
Oh my God.
And I have actually, right before moving into the house, I liked one of your videos. So I love your interviews. Kind of obsessed. When I saw your name on here, I was like, ah! So, hi. I'm cool. I'm
Hello.
cool.
Well, John Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel so blessed for the opportunity. I've grown some love for this show. It is quite the experience that I'm having, and I'm just really grateful for it.
Well, what do you think happened here in the game? I mean, this was obviously not the desired outcome.
Yeah, I think to sum up the experience here in my storytelling of, in my storyline, if you would, is that people are just genuinely afraid of people who aren't afraid to make strides in this game. I was quickly identified as someone who wasn't going to submit to the house, and I was quickly identified as a physical comp threat and a mental comp threat, and everyone assumed that I was playing a strong social game. And at that point, it was just like so many things compounding, plus the egos in there that I really had the boys scared. It was really funny to me and really quite entertaining for me that I had Zach dancing in my little palm, and I think he really, at the end of the day, saw the cause and effect of me staying, and I think he figured me out that I would go after him, and it really sucks, but I did it to myself too. I'm a good sport that way. I know that, in times of emotion, you say things, but I really did confide in Zach. I thought he was being a friend in that moment.
Yeah. So Zach is somebody you trusted early on.
Yes, he is someone that I trusted early on, but as I got to know him, I recognized the ego, so I really started playing up the emotion around him because someone like that looks at emotion as weakness, and I was hoping that it translated as, oh, he's like emotional, so I can manipulate him, and it would be like in my fantasy, it would have been me playing him, but
Mm.
little did I know that he was already making larger strides than I was, and poor Santina.
So did you think that he was working with the guys at this point? Did you think he wasn't working with the guys, and that's why you felt like you could trust him? What was your thought on that?
In the moment that I said that I would much rather go after the guys and the girls
Hmm.
in the house, I didn't think that Zach uh, would group himself up in the boys, if you would. He was really strategic in pretending like he wasn't playing the game just yet. He kept running around saying, I'm here to advise you. Meh, 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 meh. I'm Zach. I'm playing it cool. But the truth was there was this alliance that was already profound before I even walked in. And had I known sooner, I would have played a lot sooner. And these things that I was saying in front of him, it was just me and speaking my truth. And I was really actually hoping to work with him to overthrow the other side of that house, which I felt were like Rob and Ty, the people that I couldn't connect with, because it was him and it was Zach and Dan that I really connected with in the first place, which was really odd to me because outside of this wall and these games, it's been really difficult for me to connect with men who think a certain way, right?
Hmm.
So to know Zach's story and to he marinated me, he really did, and so I felt a little betrayed that it came off this way. But ultimately, like once I figured it out, I was like, all right, time to time to go on the smear train on Zach, and I definitely planted those seeds. So good luck, Zachary. Good luck.
Why do you think that he ultimately chose his relationship with the other guys over the one he had with you? I mean, really, did he even have to choose in the first place? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
I think that Zach, I think is thinking very business. He's like
Hmm.
transactional. Like our relationship was always transactional, and he was maybe weighing the odds of like, can I get this guy to work with us? And it was never a question of choosing which side. Was it JM side or the guy's side? I think he was really sussing me out to see if there was a possibility that I would look from their scope versus my own scope. And when he realized that I can think on my own, that I didn't have, I wasn't allowing or wasn't going to allow anyone to whisper names in my ears, I think he saw that as a huge threat to his game, because he even admitted to me that his whole strategy is to not have the house divide, that he didn't want the house to divide and split. But when I called him out and said, like, the house has been split, whether there's a defined alliance or not, like, you can see it, you can hear it, like, you can feel it. There's a feel in the house, like something is wrong, something is different. And it really scared him that I can be so insightful in those things. And that ultimately forced his hand to force Santina's hand to then force me. And hey, I mean, I'll take it as a compliment. A back door is quite the extreme measure for a first week eviction. But yeah, I mean, it's validation that I had the boys screaming for their lives. So,
Hmm. Well, how are you feeling about Santina now?
oh, Santina, Santina, Santina. I can't wait for her to see that I was so willing to work with her and she got played. I was so excited to see that. Um, I have many words for her. I choose to be polite with the words that I have been describing I mean Santina, and how she played this week. I just couldn't understand why she pulled off this move, and we did have tender moments where I called it out. I wasn't afraid to call her out, and she got nervous when I spoke to her the way that I spoke to her, because I can tell no one else was really trying to push the truth through her. That we had this moment where I was like, you think that everything that I brought into this house and what I've come forward with and who I am, that I would gun for the girls, that I would come for a strong woman? And you can see her face. And I think that that was the moment where she was like, oh, crap. Because after that heated conversation, she was also admitting, like, I think I made a mistake. I think I did something that's gonna bite me in the butt later. And I said, well, should have trusted me, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure she's a good person to people. But we'll see. Well, we have a lot to talk about, her and I.
Yeah. What about Hope? It seemed like you had a good relationship with Hope, but that like he was kind of in a weird place with the house. What is your perspective on sort of Hope in the game?
So Hope, in the very beginning, everyone kind of looked at Hope as like this goofy guy, and no one really took him seriously. Hope and I connected at a level that I didn't expect to. Like, we're like totally opposite mindsets a in like just our personal lives. And actually, it's funny. I would tease him because I would be like, Hope, do you need me to hug you? And he would like get jittery, because it's like, that's not part of his life, his world. And that was really cute. And I just treated him as a human. And from the beginning, I think that resonated with him, that this guy is so willing to get to know me, get to, however I was treating him, it resonated with him. And I do have a love for Hope. I would love to see him go through and through and through. I don't think he'll win this game. I would prefer a female to win this season, if you ask me. But I think our relationship was really pure. I actually left my necklace with him so that I wanted to remind him what happened to me and not to be so naive, right? But he was really sticking his neck out for me, and I was really honest with him, and I said, I know you're doing everything you can to campaign on my behalf, but please, like, don't risk your own game. Like, ultimately, I was caring for people's games too when I was campaigning, and I was very transparent with that. I said, if I'm out next week, there's nothing more I can do for you guys. So once we know we have the numbers, we'll stick to it. If we don't, let's play it safe so that no one else feels like targeted. I don't leave people in this path of like doom, if you would.
Hmm. Who do you think left in the game right now is playing the best or is the best position?
I'm looking at players like Kuzi and Claudia, who are like kind of, not in the center of attention. They have a good head on their shoulders. Like they're with it, right? Like they know what's going on. We've had like really, really great conversations about the game in general, and they know what's happening. They feel what's happening. I think that Renee also displays all the qualities of making it to the end as well. I think she did a really good job with where she was positioned for the whole dead last twist and how she used that to her advantage, right? And she's set herself up to not look like a target, which I love for her. And she knows this game actually probably better than I do almost. Like I would say that we're neck and neck in the Who's the Super Fan challenge of this season. So I'm rooting for those three to take it all the way. I do think that they have their advantages, but Renee is like, I think, in my opinion, the total package right now.
Just a quick one then. How did you feel about Daniel and is he perhaps downplaying his super fandom?
No, I think that Daniel knows the game as well. Like him and I never really spoke about like a game like Renee and I
Hmm.
have spoken. But when my campaigning to Daniel, when I campaigned to him, I reminded him of how other seasons played out and
Hmm.
it resonated with him and it worked. So it would be naive to assume that he doesn't know the game as well. But when I was able to say, Daniel, you've seen the show enough to recognize what's happening. You're being marinated. They're trying to pick out the other side of the house. There's a house. There's a side, regardless of anyone wants to admit it or not, and it's forcing me to lead the other side of the house. And he was so intrigued. He really entertained the thought, and he was one of my buy-ins. He was one of my numbers, and that was really endearing for him to really flip that switch and recognize, oh, Jam is right. Like he really does understand what's happening here, and was intrigued with the fact that this rebellion was happening, and it was so exciting to me, like as a fan and also as a player. Like, is this gonna really happen? Is it gonna happen? So
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, John Michael.
of
Um,
course.
you were one of my top picks going in. Um, but don't worry. I'm very happy with your performance overall. I was very pleased to see you and how much fight you had in the house.
I appreciate it, and I thank you for putting your dollars on me, and hopefully I don't lose you too much money. But I'm sure if there's a redemption season, I would love to be part of that group, and surround me with people who aren't so scared to play the game. Let's do this.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Taran.